Hello and welcome to a brief description of what we have to offer in the creative arts at GCSE at Seaford. We are very lucky at Seaford to be able to offer a wide range of creative subjects. In fact, 4 separate subjects that students can engage with at GCSE. These are all standalone subjects that all offer the same end of qualification in terms of GCSE result. They're all done through the same exam board, which we use AQA, and they all roughly follow the same format in terms of course delivery. However, each of these subjects offers a very different experience for the student with different processes and topics involved in each different course. So the courses we offer are fine art, textile design, graphical communication, and art, craft and design. So all the courses have the same content, if you like, in terms of components. They are assessed by us all the way through. The majority of the work, 60% of the marks, comes from the controlled assessment, which is what used to be called coursework, which is done over a series of 4 terms. We tend to do 2 projects during that experience, so you could say each project is worth 30% of the marks. So this allows students to work in a very methodical way to build their work up as the terms progress, and we build into these courses sort of deadlines so that we take the work off them as they go along, so that it allows them to concentrate on each different component in a sequential way. The final 40% of the marks comes from an examination unit, which is exactly the same as the coursework, the only difference being that the exam board sets starting points as topics, if you like, which are very broad and open-ended, so students can pretty much do what they wish and aim to do things that appeal to them. And then the final piece of work that they produce as the final piece in that project is done under examination conditions. But really, it's just the same as the coursework. In fact, the bulk of the marks for the exam unit and the coursework comes from the stuff that they do in the sketchbooks alongside us. So in terms of how each course is delivered, all the courses are delivered in the same way. We have work that we do in school, in lessons, in the classroom, which tends to be more long sort of standing, more work that takes a lot of time to sort of develop and produce. So big paintings, sewn bags, work that has had time lavished on computers, sculptural work, whatever it is, but it's stuff that takes time in the classroom. So it's things that are laboured over so that they are supporting the work, which is set for homework, if you like, for prep. So weekly assignments are set by brief. So like these sheets you can see here, students are set tasks, which again are very open-ended, so it allows for individuality, but it allows us to make sure that they are working towards the assessment objectives in each of the subjects that they're doing. So they're building up work as they go through that progresses into a visual diary and a sketchbook. So that tends to be homework on a weekly basis, tends to be about a double page in a sketchbook a week, which could be looking at linking to artists, it could be looking at experimentational work, it could be laboured over drawings or presenting work done in class on computers, or developmental ideas for sculptures, whatever it is, but it is very much part of the sketchbook process. The sketchbooks become a visual diary of each project that the students do. So, what are the individual courses covering? So, as I said, we offer 4 separate courses. So the first course that we offer, which is perhaps the bedrock course, is fine art. So fine art is the subject that teaches students to draw and paint. Traditional skills that employers look for, if you want to become an architect or something like that, that's probably the course that you would be looking at because you're honing those hand-eye coordinations. It's not all about just drawing and painting. It can involve other processes like bits of photography and printmaking and various other bits and pieces, but primarily we're teaching students to look critically and create critically in a range of different topics. So we tend to do 2 projects in fine art, in starting with a still life project where we get students to work bigger, faster, more creatively with lots and lots of different materials. That takes us 2 terms. And then we move on to a portrait-based unit where students look and link to artists' work and try to develop their own style of work through looking at the human figure and the portrait. Sketchbook work can be varied and exciting. Again, it's down to the students as to how experimental, how photographic they produce things, but we tend to work in A3 journals. So a weekly assignment could be a single picture that goes across a whole double page, or it could be a series of pictures, or it could be a photographic assignment that lends us to drawing. But again, it's very much down to the individual as to the skills that they want to develop. We just try to encourage variety in terms of experimentation and use of media and push them in the right direction. Final pieces tend to be things that we look at. We tend to put a lot of energy into presentation, into sketchbooks. Sketchbooks have covers that identify them as the student's own work. That goes the same across all the subjects that we do. The examination projects that they do tends to lead to a whole variety of different styles and skills and everything else, because students are picking up their own topics at this point. So work becomes very much channeled, if you like, through the course. So the first 2 projects are pretty much training projects. The first one is quite prescriptive, although there's avenues for individuality. The second one is more open-ended, and by the time they get to the examination project, which takes the final sort of term of the course, if you like, in year 11, they are very much following their own direction and style and very much steering the course themselves. Textile design. So a very popular course with its roots in the use of materials and fabrics. A lot of students will look at fashion. Some students will look at upholstery. Other students will go into textile sculpture as the course goes through. But again, we tend to do a whole range of different sort of starting points. We start with a bag design project where students learn how to use a sewing machine, learn how to use other textile techniques. They design a bag, they create a bag pattern, they make the fabric that goes inside the bag themselves, they create the fabric on the outside. So the thing goes from start to finish across 2 terms, designing every aspect of the bag. The second project we tend to do is a fashion illustration project. So students look at contemporary fashion illustrators and how their work can then be taken into fashion. They then take that into their own photography and then into their own garment design. So they take aspects of the fashion illustrator's work, be that figurative or pattern-based, and put that into some form of garment. The examination again sees students go off in a whole different range of designs. Some go into garment production, some will produce textile paintings by sewing on sewing machines using applique techniques, some will take it into sculptural stuff or create mini textile worlds. It's very much up to them and their where their interests lie and where their imagination takes them. In terms of sketchbook work, again, that can range from a whole range of work on a weekly basis involving fabric samples, involving photography, fashion drawing, mounting stuff that's been done in school, such as photographic work on computers that's been manipulated, going through. So a whole range of stuff. Sometimes also they're sent away with more crafty based sort of projects, so they might be actually completing their own miniature bags or working on polymer clay buttons that are going to go onto their design. But primarily, again, it's pretty much sketchbook based. Final pieces can go into a whole range of different things. So some students will take it very much into fashion-based stuff. Some will do large paintings, as we've said. But yeah, again, a lot of variety in where the individual projects can take them. Graphical communication, okay, or graphic design. So Graphic design is obviously very much the thing of the now. It's very much entwined with the modern world, the modern media world. Everywhere we look, there's the work of graphic designers, be that in magazines, on televisions, on iPads. It's all around us. The use of text within the world in terms of advertising, in terms of being sold things, in terms of comic book design. So a lot of our students are really appealed towards this form of artwork. So it has its roots in hand-drawn graphical work, but also involves a lot of computerized work. So taking their own drawings into computers, further manipulating them, use of photography, learning how to use things like Micromedia Flash, and the Adobe suite, we use a lot of photography within Photoshop, working with layers and After Effects and all sorts of things that give some very, very good sort of final results. Again, sketchbook work can be hand-drawn stuff, could be research on artists or that will influence their work. It could be documenting what they've done in school on the computers or with print work. It might be that they are experimenting with ideas or processes that will further their work. But again, it's a visual diary of the work that they're doing as they go along. Final pieces tend to be laboured over and have a real professional edge once they're printed out. A lot of the students will work digitally, although having said that, we've also had students that work in and out of computers or work purely by hand. There's no right or wrong, it's just what appeals to the students. So some students will work very traditionally. Some students have worked with printing processes as well. Again, like an open-ended funnel, the students are sort of trained in a range of different techniques, and when they hit the exam project, they all go off in their own direction. So again, it becomes very versatile, and there's a lot of different sort of endpoints, if you like, that students come up with. Art, Craft and Design is the course that perhaps adds the most variety to our suite of courses. Art, Craft and Design is a course that allows students to do anything they want, if you like, within the art sort of field. They over the course of the coursework, they're exposed to a range of different artistic processes. So it has its roots in hand drawing and painting, like fine art, but they will experience things like ceramics. They might be doing bits of textiles. They might be looking at bits of graphics or photography to enrich their world. The key to art, craft and design is you have to do painting and drawing plus other things. So the coursework will have a whole range of different things, but when they come to their examination work, they very much get to choose, actually, I'm really sort of excited by the work of textiles, or I'm excited by graphics, or I want to do some three-dimensional work with a bit of textiles in there, and they form not only their own project title from the starting points from the examination, but they also determine which area they want to work in. So it's very much a course for a student that might want tasters of different experiences rather than just painting and drawing. Offers a lot of exciting possibilities and outcomes. So as I said, the examination, again, very much lets them go off in whatever direction. Through the sketchbook research that they do ahead of the examination, they try lots of different things. They have lots of painting and drawing in it, and then they can very much do what they want as a final piece. It could be a piece of textiles, it could be a piece of sculpture, it might be a drawing that has bits of sculpture attached to it. But as long as they've got painting and drawing and various other experimentation through that project, they can do whatever they want at the end. So very popular, very exciting, and for a lot of students it's the right choice to do because it offers a lot of variety. So those are the 4 subjects that we offer. A lot of our students find it quite difficult to choose between them, and a number of our students will end up doing 2 subjects with us. So that's quite a common thing. It's obviously quite a big ask. All the art-based subjects are one of those subjects that students tend to engage with and invest a lot of time in. It's one of those subjects that the more you put in, the more you get out. And for a lot of students, it's a very nice balance to the rest of their written-based curriculum. It offers a different way of working. It allows them to think in a creative way, in a way perhaps that they're not doing in other subjects, in terms of visual sort of knowledge. And some students will choose that they want to do 2 subjects with us. But that is a big ask, that is a big time commitment. But for some students, that's very much the right thing. So I suppose what I'm saying is, what would you need to engage with that? You need to be enthusiastic and you need to enjoy the subject. If you're going to dedicate that amount of time, you're going to spend a lot of time up in the art block. And if it's right for you, that's brilliant. But you have to be aware that it comes with that time price tag, if you like. It's not advisable or practical or possible to do more than 2 subjects with us, or 2 practical subjects, simply because of the time commitment that you've got to invest in these subjects. You can do 1 subject superbly and 2 superbly, but if you take on 3, you will do mediocrely, or you won't do very well in them at all because you just haven't got the physical time. So 2 is a maximum that you can do. For a lot of students, 1 subject is exactly right for them, and that's what they would engage with. If you want to go on to A-level, if you have a very good experience at GCSE, what do you need? You need to have done a GCSE with us. Obviously, A-level is the advanced level. You do all the training in the subjects prior to going on into A-level, so you've learned all the sketchbooking tools. Yes, it's advisable, if you want to go and do fine art at A-level, if you've done it at GCSE, that's an advantage. But could you switch between art subjects? If you've done textiles and graphics at GCSE, could you take on art, craft and design? Absolutely. So it doesn't hold you back from engaging with any of the other subjects. We offer 6 at A-level, so it broadens out a little bit more with photography and 3D studies as options. So it opens the gates to all those subjects if you want to take it on further. How do we do? We did very well last year with our students in what was obviously an unusual year. But these results were hard fought for and are highly accurate. We're very used to marking GCSE students. And as you can see from the set of the results, the majority of our students fall in the higher end of the mark spectrum. That's where we push them. That's where they tend to excel. Most of the students that choose these subjects really want to do this. So we've got a very good track record here. We've got very experienced teachers that have all got specialisms in the subjects that they teach. So students are in good hands. We make them work hard, but they enjoy it and they get the results at the end of it. So that's really what we do in a nutshell. Obviously, if you have other questions about suitability and things like that, there will be opportunities when we go into parents' meetings slightly later in the term where you can talk to the current teachers of your children, if they're at Seaford, about suitability. If you've got more specific questions, I will be on Zoom at the options evening, so you can join my Zoom room and have a conversation with me. Or you can pop it in an email, which is always a quick way where I can get back to you if you'd like to do that, and we could organise a chat if needed afterwards, either with the subject teacher or myself. But I hope this has been of benefit, and I hope your children enjoy art in some form at Seaford as we go forward. Thank you very much for listening.